In this video, I am just going through the independent samples t-test procedure in SPSS using the drop-down menus for PSYCH 144. So as you can see here, I have a data set. I'm in variable view and I have some demographic information. So I have age and gender. And then I have condition, which is the condition participants were assigned to. And there's a control condition and experimental. An experimental in this case is a new ACT prep program. So here I have an ACT practice score that was completed after this program. Now in this example, this is from the PowerPoint 15 activity that we did in lecture. In this example, we have a researcher who thinks that their ACT prep program is going to improve ACT scores. So the groups that in this case were not randomly assigned, they were non-equivalent groups, but this would also work for a random assignment between subjects experiment. So we're going to do an independent samples t-test because the people in each condition are different. They're not related. They're from two different classes and people are only in one condition or the other. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that my variables are set up correctly with my measures. So you can see that condition, an ACT score, that's what I care about. Condition is nominal, which is good because we want our conditions, it's our categorical independent variable. So it has two levels. We want it to be set to nominal for this test. And our ACT score is a score, it's quantitative, and it should be set as scale because scale in SPSS just means that it's an interval or a ratio level of measurements. We're going to use that as a continuous level of measurement. So I'm going to go to Analyze, and I'm going to choose Compare Means because I am comparing the means of ACT score across two conditions. And when I go to Independent Samples t-test, you can see here that I need to choose my variables. Now, I know that my values that I assigned to the conditions are 1 and 2. So I could always click here if I needed to, but you'll need to know that. And I need to put my dependent variable in this test variable spot. So I'm going to right click and display variable names because this defaults to showing the label. So I'm just going to click anywhere in this box, right click and change it to display variable names. And I'm going to move my ACT score to my test variable. So ACT score is a number, that's our dependent variable. We're testing it across these different groups. And so you should have the little ruler there for your variable. And then we are measuring it by condition. So we're going to do our grouping variable. So they have groups, again, not creative with the names. So we have a categorical variable. We're looking at comparing the groups. And we need to define the groups. So you always have to do this step for an independent samples t-test. You click on define groups and you just have to say what the values are. So again, our values are 1 and 2, 1 for control, 2 for experimental. So I'm going to leave them as 1 and 2. If you have different numbers, you'll need to put those numbers in and you're going to say continue. I want to leave estimate effect sizes there. And then you can tell that you can click on this and see what the confidence intervals are that are going to show. It's 95%. You don't need to do anything with that. So the only thing you need to do here is this, make sure this is checked and say, okay. So now I have my output here and I added it to a previous output from a different example, so ignore the title of my file, but I would save this and say this is my output, so make sure you save it. And then I want you to export it. So go to File, Export, and you're going to give it a name. So I'm using docx from here. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call this ACT output. And I'm going to choose browse here. And I just want to make sure it goes to my desktop. So I'm going to say save. And put the name again. Here we go. And then save. I had to click out of the window for a Porto to be able to see the bottom and press OK, but I just pressed OK and it created a Word document for me. So you can see here that we have a lot of different information here. And what we're going to do is we're going to look through this in the next video. I'm going to go through the interpretation of this test. So this again goes with the PowerPoint 15 activity, and this video is available on Canvas with this output.